Everybody's dancing.
It's a party on the porch.
Not for the right reasons. Welcome to the Sports Porch. Thank you for listening on American Busker, iHeartRadio. 150 million subscribers, 2,000 devices, 250 platforms. Catch the Sports Porch podcast on the iHeartRadio app and also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. But first of all, thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. And, I should be playing that video from last week where Steve says, I will not melt down. But after this week, we're going to jump right into it. Steve's ready to melt down, guys.
Ready to melt down.
Steve's ready to melt down. But
I'm all melted.
Yep.
I'm just a pile of goo over
here. Yep. Did you put up those comments? Tell us your angst.
Yes.
Oh, I thought so. I
don't want to be the only one here with angst.
So before we jump into it, I want to remind everybody, jump on to theporchislive.com, theporchislive.com. That is our website. You can pick up previous episodes in video format or podcast format, and obviously read our most recent column. Steve's going to have one coming out soon this week, and we're going to ramp those up a little bit. We got some news for the upcoming week. We'll get to that a little bit later on. But the question of the night, the question of the week, the question of the year. Before we do that, DG is reporting from the Grand Canyon tonight.
Ooh,
DG is in the house. Tim Pomato from Palmetto is checking in. Welcome to the show. What the hell was that yesterday? Huh? What was that?
Well, first of all, honestly, I think we did all see it coming, didn't we? I mean, the Buffalo Bills at home.
Maybe not that bad.
Quarterback starting his first game.
Yep. Yeah,
it was going to be bad. It had bad written all over it.
It did, but I think it had bad more because of the defense. I mean, I did not expect the defense to roll over the way it did. And there are so many things to talk about this team right now. And I'm going to start. I'm going to start with Kenny Pickett because that's the news. Kenny Pickett. Okay. I think Kenny Pickett, considering his situation, played well. I think it was his first official start in the NFL. It was truly a trial by fire. He looked like he had command of the plays and of the offense. He knew where he wanted to put the ball. He made a mistake. No, he didn't throw a touchdown pass. But, at the end of the day, if that defense doesn't roll over, I mean, look, the Bills are a juggernaut. They should at least, anybody can win the Super Bowl once they're there, but they should make it to the Super Bowl. Okay. The only team in their way is possibly, in my opinion, is Kansas City. But that being said, I did not expect that defense to totally roll over the way it did. Totally roll over the way it did.
I did, because the defense is not good.
Right, and we'll get to that.
Without TJ Watt.
So there's so much to talk about. Let's start with Kenny Pickett. Okay.
All right. Well, I'll give my sort of calmer version, and then we'll get to Steve and the angst.
Because he obviously wants to hear everybody else's first.
I mean, to me, to be honest, I think Kenny Pickett, the story is still yet to be written. What I liked about him, he showed good poise. He looked like he was ready. He didn't look like the moment was too big for him. Outside of one interception, I thought he threw the ball very accurately and pretty well yesterday. Here's the thing. Kenny Pickett's got a bunch of things going against him. Number one, the offensive line is terrible. Number two, there's not much of a run game. And I believe part of that's because Najee Harris is playing hurt. And number 3, and I think it's something that really hasn't been talked about that much, which is Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool are garbage. Now,
you heard it here first.
Now, Deontay Johnson, look, that guy's going to make an unbelievable catch once every so often, but he can't hit it if you hit him in his hands or the numbers.
Yeah, he's got a problem with that.
And there was a stat that I put out there that I read that said 7 of the Steelers' 11 offensive drives either ended with a Deontay Johnson drop, Deontay Johnson not keeping his feet in bounds, a Chase Claypool drop, or a Dan Moore false start. All drives where Kenny Pickett was sustaining drives, moving the team down the field.
Yeah, so none of that was Pickett's fault.
The bottom line is that those guys are just not as good as people think they are.
I agree.
And I'd love to. And you know who was the best receiver on the field yesterday, not wearing a Bills uniform, was Pickens.
Yeah.
Right? He needs to start. I think Claypool, you take him out of the starting lineup. He doesn't give you anything. So the bottom line is there's so much going against Kenny Pickett. At the same time, I also do want to say that, there is another side to it, which I think Steve is probably going to get at a little bit more, which is great players do make other players around them better. You've seen Tom Brady. Sorry, I said the name. But you've seen Tom Brady make average receivers look great, So, the bottom line is you still got to do something. And it is 2 games, no touchdown passes, 4 interceptions. So that's got to be better. It's got to be better. Now, did he have a chance against the Bills? Probably not, but you still got to show me something. And really, at this point, we haven't seen anything yet.
32 of 52 for 327 yards. I mean,
but that's like saying that Carson Wentz had a good game because he threw for 350 yards.
Don't go down the Commanders route because we don't care about that.
That's true.
But I'm saying, look at that from Trubisky.
But
those Pickett. That's the comparison.
Those are meaningless numbers.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I think they're meaningless.
Mostly
but they
meaningless.
they do say something. And Allison chimes in and says, it's only the beginning. Give him a chance. Tim says Kenny was the only bright spot going forward. Yo, Kerry, we'll talk about this. If the Carolina Panthers can fire the coach, we should fire Canada. So, all
right, Steve, let her rip.
Yeah, don't have a meltdown, Steve.
Let her rip.
Let's hear the classic.
So, Tim, Allison, and David, you may want to turn down your volume a little bit for this. Those of you wearing your Kenny Pickett everything's okay glasses.
Oh God!
You might want to take them off for a second because I'm gonna give you a little dose of reality. Okay, Kenny Pickett is allowed to make plays. Okay, he's allowed to throw the ball where it doesn't have to be tipped. It can be right in the breadbasket where they have to catch the ball. Okay, and I think that Kenny Pickett is an okay quarterback. I think he got thrust into a bad situation. I don't think he should be playing yet. And therein lies the problem. You're putting Kenny Pickett out there against clearly a Buffalo Bills team that is headed to the playoffs and probably the Super Bowl. The way they're playing now, they're playing lights out. Look, they beat us 38-3, and they took the foot off of the gas pedal at halftime. They could have easily scored 3 or 4 more touchdowns easily. They felt sorry for us. and as a Steelers fan, that absolutely pains me. But so what did the Steelers offense do? We didn't do anything. We failed to score a single touchdown on sustained drives. And yes, it's true there were drop balls. Yes, there were false start penalties and holding penalties. But good teams find their ways around this. There are plenty of teams out there. Look at the New England Patriots. They're starting somebody who is less of a caliber quarterback than Kenny Pickett, and they're getting the job done.
A third-round guy we never heard of.
right?
I mean, not third round. He's undrafted.
Miami is falling apart
Yeah.
with their quarterback. Okay, granted. And I'll get to the defense after I'm done with the Pickett.
Yeah, well, we'll move to that later.
But when it comes to Kenny Pickett, he is an okay quarterback in a terrible situation. So I'm not going to bash him as a player. I do like his feistiness. I do like the fact that he can throw the ball with some accuracy. But it's going to take time for him to have rapport with his receiver. The velocity of the ball coming to him is different than they're used to, than it would be with Trubisky. All those things matter, and I know it sounds dumb, but everything takes time for that timing to be right, especially in an NFL offense. And the fact that they're failing at it now is because he's in there too soon. And he's going to continue to fail against these next 3 or 4 teams because they're damn good. They're not going to get a break. There's nobody in the NFL who are going to be like, oh, the Steelers aren't playing good. Let's take it easy on them. And I know the offensive line is not opening up holes, and I agree with Mark. I think that Najee's running hurt. But once again, that's no excuse for Najee. If he's running hurt, maybe he should sit down, take a couple weeks off, get better, come back at full speed. Let Jaylen Warren, carry the water for a couple games. But these guys have too much pride, and they won't stay out. And their coaching staff are too much. They're too ridiculously. They're too friendly with these guys to say you're sitting this week. Take a week off. They won't do it. And this is the problem with the Steelers. The Steelers as an organization right now are just in disarray, and they need to get it back because I'm going to watch this team until I go into the grave. But I bet a lot of you aren't going to like watching what you see the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Wow. Yeah,
that's all I got to say.
I mean, let's get some more comments in here from our listeners. First of all, a friend of mine from York, Jeff Paulus, says, "Hey guys, what's up, Jeff? How you doing?" Kevin Colbert Sr., I'd rather see Big Ben calling plays. Well, you know what? Big Ben's gone, so we gotta move on from that. DG agrees with me and Mark. Pickett played well, all things considered. He's a rookie, but played with some guts. Amy May, Kenny did a decent job. His receivers played horribly. Canada is awful. Canada should be fired. They're just coming in all over the place. Yo, gents, they need to clean house and get all new coaches. I'm guessing that's what Brad's saying. I could call better plays than Canada is. Jeff says got to give the offensive line more time, getting better. All young guys up front. I've already gotten people saying to me the Steelers suck. Well, the Steelers do suck right now.
They do.
And I just better. See, I think a team, and again, we before the show, we pregame. You can see our pregame video before the show if you want. We talked about the defense, special teams, the wide receivers, the running game, coaching. This is a team that is, Steve, you said disarray. It's transition. It's a transition that they have not had to make in almost 20 years. So, and you've got a coaching staff, actually a head coach, because there's been a lot of turnover in the coaching staff, but you've got a head coach who walked into a pretty good situation when he did.
Right.
This is the first time he's had to make a serious decision. And I go back to, if you're not going to put Kenny in, I don't see how it serves Kenny Pickett to sit him this year. Okay. If he can't learn to play under immense pressure, then he's never going to learn to play the game. So what I saw was a quarterback who is young and raw, who has all the skills of the makings of being a professional quarterback. And you're putting him in under the gun. And that being said, against a team that is far superior, I think he performed pretty well under the pressure. If anybody expected Kenny Pickett to come into that game and throw 4 touchdown passes and keep this competitive, no way that was ever going to happen. Now, that leads me to the defense. We talked about this weeks ago, okay? Without TJ Watt, that defense is horrible. Look, Minka is a great player, but he can't play center field the whole game with any kind of effectiveness if they're not getting to the quarterback. Cam Hayward is a great player, but he has 2 or 3 impact plays a game, and when TJ Watt is in there, that's all he has. Other than that, he hustles, but other than that, he doesn't make a difference. So the question is not when is TJ going to come back, okay, because he's going to come back. The question is, what are they going to do to improve the guys that play behind TJ? Because other than Minka and Cam, who's close to retirement, there's nothing. I mean, you could say Highsmith was having a decent year. You know, there's some guys in there that potentially could play. Leal is actually showing some great signs, which is surprising. But you can't bank your defense on one player all the time who has a history of getting injured. Not because he's, just because he's such a hard player. Their defense is horrible. If that defense even puts up a little bit of a fight during the game, I think Pickett probably throws a touchdown pass because there's not as much pressure on him. Given all the pressure that was on him because they were down by 20, 21 points like that, I think he performed great. I think there are good things on the horizon, not this year, but I think it's a good thing that he's in now.
You can't. Any other thoughts? But here's the thing. At the same time, though, I get where you're coming from, but it's hard to say somebody played great or even played good when you lose 38-3.
Right.
And if they didn't take the foot off the gas, could have been like 60-3.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. You know I mean? I'm not saying that Kenny Pickett played great. What I'm saying is, given the circumstances that he was given and the fact that the rest of the team disappeared, okay, because there's 22 players that play, all right? I think Kenny Pickett played great under the circumstances that he was given, and it was his first NFL start against probably the best team in the league and probably the best defense right now in the league.
No, I think we'll see that
got corners
this week.
Out. they got safeties out.
Tampa Bay has a really good defense too, so he's got his work cut out for him again this week.
Right.
As far as the defense goes, they got to stop that big play. I mean, look, they came out and they had the ball on their own 2-yard line, and they let the quarterback drop back, chuck it down the road.
Oh, they got burned.
55 yards, and the guy was wide the freak open.
They reminded me of the Commanders.
Here's the thing about the defense that they need to get a handle on, and I'm looking at you, Terrell Austin. Stop the big play. You got to stop the big play. I don't care if that means that we're giving up 10-yard dinks and dunks. If that's what you got to do, you got to do it. You can't let a team like Buffalo come out and chuck it deep twice on you and be like, that's it, it's over. I mean,
you got to play Ben.
This is and this has been the problem with the defense in the preseason. I pointed it out earlier this year. They give up too many big plays, with or without TJ Watt. This is the hallmark of this defense. Yeah. They give up 25, 30-yard big chunk plays like it's Halloween and they're handing out candy. Here you go, have a touchdown, 98 yards. 75 yards, 60 yards, just go for it. I mean, they're all over the place. So that's what the defense has to do. What does the offense have to do? They've got to get a little bit more creative than run, pass.
Short pass.
Right? And when it's 3rd and 14, please don't throw it 7 or 10 yards.
They don't even throw it that far. They throw it 3 yards.
4 yards.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, these are the baby steps that this team needs to make to show us they're a contender again. Until they start doing that, they're gonna be at the bottom. And I don't care if Pickett's out there, I don't care if Trubisky's out there. I actually think they need to go out there in 3 wide receiver sets maybe at the beginning. I agree. I don't agree you need to start Pickens. I just think he needs to be on the field more. More 3 wide receiver sets. Screw Gentry. I mean, who gives a shit if you have 2 tight ends in there? If your offensive line can't block, another tight end isn't going to frickin' help.
And Steve finally melted down.
I said frick.
Yeah. Well,
that's where I see they can have opportunities for improvement. And I do think they can do that, but I don't think they can do that with this coaching staff. I think Brian Flores is a joke. I mean, come on. They have the highest paid defense, and he's supposed to come in and help that defense.
I was going to bring that up.
He has not helped this defense.
Well, here's
go
the thing.
out and get some. Get some assistant coaches who will help Tomlin do it. And if Tomlin doesn't want to hire assistant coaches, well, then maybe you need to make a change at the head coach level.
Well, that's an interesting comment because you sit here and you say to yourself, how can they be the highest paid defense?
Yeah.
Obviously, Minka, maybe highest paid safety, I think. TJ Watt.
Well, he was before
yeah, right.
Somebody else.
TJ Watt was highest paid. D lineman, I'm sure, when he got his contract. So those two are going to factor in, maybe skew it a little bit. I just honestly think there's a lack of talent.
Well, Cam gets paid.
And Cam gets paid
too.
well.
Yeah.
I just think there's a lack of talent. I mean, and sometimes, coaches need players, right? I mean, that's the bottom line. If you don't have players, like, for example, like there was another interesting thing that I saw out this week, and it was like Bill Walsh without Joe Montana, Tomlin without Ben Roethlisberger, Bill Belichick without Tom Brady, all under 500 coaches. All under 500.
So the QB matters.
Yeah, the QB matters.
We all know the QB matters.
But I'm just saying, as a whole, all players matter too.
Right.
I mean, Brian Flores can't coach guys who can't play.
Yeah.
I mean, or are just middle of the road guys. Like, for example, like, who's the corner who made a nice interception in the end zone? Who was that? With a W?
Wallace.
Wallace, yeah.
Oh,
okay.
yeah, Wallace, yeah.
So Wallace,
Levi
right?
Wallace.
Former
Buffalo Bill.
So, like Wallace, he's kind of like on a good team, he's probably a backup, right? But he's a starting corner on this team. So how are you going to get him better? Now, some coaches are going to get players better. Some coaches are going to scheme guys to be in a better position.
That's right.
But it's tough. It's tough when the talent's not there.
I mean, so you have to go. You have to go what they call Tampa 2. You have to go to a zone defense.
Right.
You have to find a way to make it a little bit more difficult to let a guy run past a guy he knows he can beat deep and just chuck it deep to him.
Right.
Because they just don't have the competitive spirit to go out and just grab it away from him. I mean, Minka could have probably made that interception, but let's face it, the other guy made the play. Where did we see that before? In the freaking New England game, where Aguilar did the same thing. Just throw it up. Hey, they'll get it, and they do. They outplay our defensive backs, and that's about skill at that position, and we don't have a lot of skill there. So you have to scheme against that. And all I'm imploring the Steelers to do is try something different. Stop run, pass, and do a defensive scheme that slows down the opposition so that let's do something different. Otherwise, you're going to expect the same results.
So we're going to get some comments here from our listeners. Mike Lawrence, will Tomlin really make changes, or is he all talk?
Well, he said he's going to make changes.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, he also said that Trubisky was improving, and then he
I know.
Be careful about
DG's
that.
back in the hunt here. Claypool and Johnson are no help. They do not act like the ball is theirs no matter what. Pickens goes after the ball. I'm on that bandwagon. Pickens is a real receiver. These other two guys, not so much. Yo, Carey says he'll watch till death. Also, from day one till 0 days. If I can love the Pirates, I can love the Steelers while sucking. Allison, y'all know when a team's not doing well, no matter what team they are, people say their team sucks. People need to get over themselves. Tony Soprano says,
Tony Soprano's in the house.
Yeah, he's in from Jersey. Everyone is blaming the coaches, but the players are to blame. I mean, they have to execute. That's true. Mm-hmm. Mike Lawrence, all talk, but he might surprise us. I think that's about the coach.
Surprise.
Stop bashing Kenny, says Allison. Tony says whether some homeless guy calls a run or Matt Canada does is irrelevant. Players are to blame. We got a ton of comments coming in here, and obviously.
Obviously, did anybody see Canada's suit walking into the game the other day?
No, but CD says
describe it.
CD says sorry, I'm late. Steelers suck.
All I can say is I didn't realize that Canada was so concerned about his appearance. because he's paying a lot more. He's paying a lot more attention to how he dresses than the game plan. That's for sure.
Well, I've been saying this for the last year and a half. Matt Canada is a horrible offensive coordinator. Yes, there are a lot of issues, but there is never. I mean, you say they do run, pass. There's still no game plan. It doesn't look like they do, and I know they have to. They're an NFL franchise. They're in the film room. They're studying film. But to me, it doesn't even look like they're studying film. Every team has a weakness, even the strongest team. Yeah. So to me, every time, it doesn't matter that it was the Bills game or the game before against the Jets or up against the Brady and the I was going to say the Patriots, Brady and the Buccaneers. Look, it doesn't look like they're even studying film. They have no concept of whether this player likes to play off, whether the tendency for this defense is to play over the top and shade it to the right. They have no clue. And when you're the offensive coordinator, that's what you're doing. You're looking at your strengths and you're exploiting your opponent's weaknesses. And I don't think Canada can figure out what their strengths are. And I'm going to say one more thing about this. And all due respect to this guy, but I do not think that Najee Harris is the answer at running back. I know he's playing with a high ankle sprain right now, but the more I've watched this guy over the last 2 years, he does not have a burst of speed. Even when there is a hole, he can't find it. And I expect more from him than what I've seen. I don't think he's going to be the answer. Time will tell. I hope he is, because he's a good guy. He's a hard player. He's a hard worker. But I watched Jaylen Warren, and that guy's got a burst. He's got a quick step. He can find the hole. Look, you guys are making fun of me.
You're in love with a third round.
No, listen.
The problem with Jaylen Warren is A, he's too small. B, he fumbles the ball. If you give him the ball as much as you give Najee Harris, I promise you won't like him as much. That being said, I would love for Najee to sit a couple games, get healthy, and watch Jaylen Warren fumble the hell out of the ball.
Yeah. No,
because that's what will happen.
You guys are misunderstanding.
You're right. He's got a great burst, and he's got good speed, and he looks like an NFL running back. And I agree with you there. He is all of that, but by himself, he is a disaster.
No.
He's an absolute disaster of a running back.
But they don't know if he can hold on to the football.
You're misinterpreting what I'm saying. I am not saying that Warren should be the every down back. What I'm saying is that there are certain things that Warren has that great running backs in the NFL all have. And that is great vision, a burst of speed, and the ability to sidestep and make something out of nothing. Now, you're
missing number 5.
And what's that?
A good offensive line to give him a hole.
Right, I understand.
Right.
But without that one, all the other 4 fall
What
apart.
I'm saying is that Najee does not have 3 out of those 5 anyway. So even when he gets a good offensive line,
I think maybe.
There are also running back styles that run people over.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, I mean, he doesn't really run people over. He runs into them and then drags them a little bit.
He can.
All right. Well, this is a debate that we'll have over the years.
Coming from the guy who said that. I think before the season, you said Najee Harris was going to be like possible MVP candidate.
Well, I didn't say possible MVP, but I said he could be the best running back in the league, and I'm willing. I own that, and I'm willing to walk that back a little. So
ownership's important. Chris.
So we've we're
holding you accountable.
So I hold myself accountable. I do. I said that, but I'm.
What's the bottom line on this team?
Transition. That's the bottom line. This is a transition.
I think
After
it's
5 weeks.
I think it's worse than transition. I think we don't know where it's headed.
Okay.
I think this team is complete disarray. They will not be the same until TJ gets back in the lineup and Kenny throws a couple touchdown passes and he finally becomes an NFL quarterback.
Well, and that doesn't sound too bad to me. You know what I mean? I mean, that sounds like, transition is worse. I think transition. I called this team to be 0 and what are they 1-4 now? I called them to be 0-5 by now. They're 1-4. we're going to go into this a little bit later. They're most likely going to end up 1-5. Okay, so I never went into this season, even with thinking Kenny Pickett I thought Kenny Pickett would end up being the quarterback, especially after the first couple games and watching Trubisky play. But I never thought that they would have a winning record this year. I still definitely don't think they're going to have a winning record. And I always thought this was going to be a transition year. And that's the thing. We had this text chat. We guys, we're talking about this 24/7, the three of us. We're going at it all the time through every game, messing with each other. I said this yesterday, welcome to the rest of the NFL. As Steelers fans, you've had 18, 19 years of no losing, a couple 500 seasons, lots of playoff appearances, didn't win a whole lot of playoff games, 2 Super Bowl wins and a Super Bowl loss. Hey, listen, unless you're the Patriots, you didn't have a better situation. You really didn't. So now all of a sudden you're in transition and the sky's falling. This is the way the NFL works.
Well, it is falling.
Yeah, the sky is definitely falling.
Right, but you don't want to accept that. You don't want to say, you want to know what? Let's just let the team get through this year, and at the end of the year, plug the holes, draft, get a good offensive lineman, fill in some needs on defense. Let your quarterback be your quarterback.
I will accept it once I see a plan that makes sense. Until I see a plan that makes sense, I'm going to say this team is in disarray.
All right, so I'm going to bring this up. This is for Schwaber's benefit here. Bobby G from our college days. Good job, boys, and sorry about your Steelers. When do we talk about the last undefeated team this season? Go Birds. So
good transition.
If you're watching us on Philadelphia social media, we're going to tease this. We will be having a Philadelphia Sports Porch debuting sometime in November.
Yes.
And
they won't be undefeated.
Schwaber will be the host, and we can't wait to start that Philadelphia sports show. I'm so excited about it, and we have you guys to thank for that. So with that, we're going to move right on to.
I don't even get to say anything about it.
No, because this is not your show. Your show is I'm just going to shout out to the Eagles that are 5-0, and the NFC East looks to be rebounding, except for the Commanders.
Correct.
All right, Rob, the floor's yours.
No, hey, 5-0 feels good.
It should.
Tell me when you get to 13.
There you go. So that being said, taking a real quick step back, AFC North, we had Cincinnati losing to Baltimore last night. Looks like Baltimore is going to take command of the division, maybe. Cleveland, they got a great running game, but obviously.
Did you see the way they lost? Cleveland.
They're ridiculous.
I loved it. I loved every second of it. That head coach from San Diego had the balls to go for it on like the 42-yard line.
So stupid.
And it wasn't even close, right?
Yeah.
Gave them the ball. All they had to do was make one reception. They got it, and they missed a field goal.
Well, also, you know what I didn't like? I didn't like the fact that they're just like, okay, it's 51 yards. We don't need any more. We don't need any more yards. Let's not make it a 40-yarder.
Yeah.
We can make it from 51.
Yeah.
Like, what sense does that make?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I'll tell you.
I just love the fact that Cleveland sucks too. I'm sorry, but misery loves company.
Yeah. Well, and this division it looks like it's going to come down to. I mean, the Ravens look like probably the better team in the division. But you never know when Cincinnati will turn it on.
Hey, who said the Ravens were the best team in the division at the beginning of the year?
Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, that sounds like you did.
Yeah.
Thanks.
What is this? I don't know what's going on with all the comments. Jeff Paulus says Philly sports get to discuss Drexel. No. CD says Klein. K name is York. Not said. I have no idea.
Wow.
Are you drinking CD?
I think he's got sassafras going on
probably
over there in Hershey.
DG's. I'm not putting these comments up. I should. DG says Steelers in transition. Okay, but let's admit the Steelers haven't planned well for this. Yep, that's exactly right.
At all, nope. David, you're right about that.
So we want to talk real quick about the NFC East, and we'll keep it short for right now. But you got 3 teams at 4-1. You got the Cowboys, you got the Eagles at 5-0, the Cowboys and the Giants at 4-1. The Commanders, who I said at the beginning of this year, and you actually laughed at me, would probably be the worst team in the NFL, are starting to live up to that bill. But it's because they're not the Redskins.
They got to fight the Steelers for that moniker.
So in the NFC East, here's my question, and this is a question that I think it actually needs to be asked, and I don't know that I've heard anybody ask it. When Dak Prescott gets better, let's assume that the Cowboys beat the Eagles. We're not making any predictions. We're going to go.
Why
we're
would
going to
you
do that later.
assume that?
It's just to piss you off.
No. I think the better question is because he's supposed to be ready this week.
He is supposed to be ready.
Will
this
they
week.
play him?
Will they
they stick with Cooper Rush?
Yes.
For another week.
Should they stick with Cooper Rush? Because let me tell you, that guy looks like the real deal.
Oh my God, no.
He's no Kenny
This
Pickett.
is an Eagles fan. This is an
winning.
Eagles fan.
They're winning in spite of him. He's doing some nice game managing, but it's all defense.
Yeah.
It's all defense. I mean, come on.
Well, that's true.
Come on.
I got
That's true.
2 words for you.
Oh my God.
Micah Parsons.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
of
That
course.
guy is a beast. He's
Right.
going to
He
be
is. He
defensive player of the year.
And they've got
He's
Diggs in the
everything.
secondary, and
Yeah,
they've got
Diggs.
DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yeah,
They got a good. They got
still
a good.
got a good
defense.
line.
Okay,
Really
but
good
the NFC East right now, for all intents and purposes, and the Giants are a huge surprise. But the NFC East is back, so
But
we'll
it is
see.
funny, though. We were all writing off, well, not me, but you guys were writing off Dallas, and a lot of the media was
We were, yeah.
Yeah.
Dallas is done. They're
Yeah.
0-1.
Yeah.
They lost their quarterback. They
will-
look like shit. It's the same old Cowboys.
I will say this,
and here they go.
I will say this though. The fact that Cooper Rush has come in and been a game manager and won 4 games in a row, I actually do think, even though it's clear as day that Dak Prescott is the better quarterback, and you have to go back to him.
You do.
I do actually think it will not be a good move. Because what's going to happen
He'll be
is
rusty.
because the bottom line is that with Dak Prescott, everybody waits around and waits for him to do something incredible.
Yeah.
And the way they basically, the Cowboys have reshaped their team into being a defensive team and game management, protect the football. With Dak, I guarantee you they're going to want to be the number 1 offense in the league that they were last year. And Dak's going to make his share of mistakes.
Yeah, I agree with Mark on this one.
Yeah.
I think that the thing about Dallas's offense that I like is they have a plan. They want to run the ball first, and then they can hit the big play, the CD Lamb. They got Schultz across the middle. They got a lot of targets. Gallup's back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so they can hit the targets whenever they want. But Dak seems to want to force it. He always wants to make the big play, the CD Lamb, when he wants to do it, not on some timetable that the coaches are setting. And by the way, they have some really good assistant coaches there. I don't think McCarthy's a great coach
he's
at all.
horrible.
But I think they got Dan Quinn or
Dan
somebody
Quinn's
like
the
that.
defensive coordinator.
He's amazing.
Awesome.
So there's a coach who's pretty terrible as a head coach, but at least he's smart enough to know I'm pretty dumb about some things. Let me hire a guy who can
Right.
run it and just stay out of his way.
Right.
That's pretty smart, and that's why I like that team from the beginning.
And they were,
and I think they're going to be tough.
And that defense was pretty bad before he came on.
By the
And
way,
it was the same guys.
you have to give it to the Phillies too, or the Eagles. The Eagles are playing great ball. They didn't look good yesterday, but they still managed to win. And there's something about winning games that you're supposed to lose that helps you at the end of the season. No matter whether you don't have the best scheme going. Look, they rely a lot on Jalen Hurts, and he didn't have a great game. So, they got to fix that. And they're young. They're young.
Yeah. Well, hey, I mean, the bottom line is you usually you can tell a team is a good team if they can win ugly too. And that's what they did. They won ugly yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point.
Yeah, agreed.
That's the point.
Great division, though. I think that I was
Yeah.
surprised. I thought that division would be one of the worst. It's one of the best.
Could be a shocker. Yeah, could be a shocker coming out of that division. So
what are we picking this week, boys?
let's go back to last week's picks.
Can we just skip over that?
Nope.
You're not actually going to post those.
Well, one more comment from CD McCarthy, a Greenfield Pittsburgh guy. Thought you all blindly loyal to the Pittsburghers.
We
all
love
right, CD,
burgers.
that's enough.
We love him.
You're banned for life, CD.
All
right.
Who knows? He might be the next Mike Tomlin.
DG says, not mentioned earlier, I do think the low hit on Pickett's legs was a dick move that justified his anger. You want to know what? We're not going to talk about that here, but I did see that replay, and yeah, I agree that. But what I did
Let's just all agree with David on that.
That's right, and I did like the fact that his teammates came in there and defended him. I think they're behind him all the way.
Good.
So okay,
that was another one actually where he was sliding and he got hit.
Yeah. So
Daniels
last week,
blindsided that guy like he was carrying a pink smoke bomb.
last week we picked the Colts at Broncos. Steve got that. Steve and Mark got that right. I got it wrong. Mark and Chris picked the Ravens. Steve picked the Bengals.
I paid Russ for that.
All three of us got hammered
Russ.
because we picked the Rams over the Cowboys. So Steve was 1-2, Chris was 1-2, Mark was 2-1 last week.
Mark.
So our picks this week
Boom.
lead us to Chris at 8-7, Mark at 9-6, Steve at 6-9. It's starting to tighten up.
Okay.
Starting to tighten up. So this week,
Cream's starting to rise to the top.
This week is
Cream's starting to rise to the top.
This week is you guys. This
We
week,
got Creams and 69.
first of all,
What
as
else you
always,
need on the board?
as always, we're gonna go back to our preseason predictions. Stillers, Tampa Bay, and big announcement. Steve and I will be at the Tampa Bay game down at the field formerly known as Heinz Acrisure Stadium on Sunday. We will be in a luxury box and doing a special edition of the Sports Porch,
Drinking our champagne
from the luxury box.
And I will be on the cell phone.
And Mark will be at home.
Maybe.
So, yeah. We'll get it
The
sorted
smart
out.
one who didn't pay all that money.
Yes.
To see that.
Yeah. Shh, don't tell anyone.
Hey, they don't need to know how much
Tell
you
anyone.
paid. As
So-
far as they know, our sponsors.
Anyway,
take care of it.
I think all three of us have Tampa Bay winning that game.
Yeah.
All right. So, as is tradition, we're going to pick the Thursday night game first. The Thursday night game
Let's
happens
go.
to be a barn burner. It is the Washington Reds Commanders at the Bears. Who you got going, Steve?
I'm going with the Bears. I'm not really going to put any thoughts into this other than you think they're the worst team. You like to follow them. I'm going to agree with you. I think the Bears are better than I thought. I'm going to go with the Bears 9-7.
All right.
This could be the only game of the year that I say the Bears are a surefire lock. I'm going to say 13-7 Bears.
All right, and I'm
That's
going
a lot of
with
scoring. I don't know.
I'm going with the Bears. I'm not even going to name a score.
Come on.
Come on, you got
45-42.
6-3. 6-3 Bears. All right. Next up on the docket, Sunday night's game. Big game. Cowboys at the Eagles. Is Dak Prescott coming back? Schwaber, we'll let you
I don't
pick.
know.
Cowboys at the Eagles.
I don't know. Look, I'm sure I'm just way too biased for this.
Go with your gut, Mark.
Let's just say, I think it's actually a good thing that the Cowboys are 4-1. Because I think that means the Eagles are not going to take him for granted, and they're going to show up, and they're going to have a double-digit win. I'm going to say they're going to win 28-17.
All right, Mark's going with the Eagles, 28-17. Steve, what say you?
I like the boys.
You have to,
All right.
because you predicted them to go to the Super
Well,
Bowl.
I didn't. I should have taken Baltimore last week because I like them to win the division.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go with the boys because that's what I'm going with.
Okay. And I'm picking the Eagles. I think they're on a roll. I think there's a lot of, first of all, Cooper Rush coming in. If he plays that game, that's going to be a tough game for him to win in Philadelphia. I don't care who you are. And Dak Prescott coming back, he's going to be rusty. I think the Eagles are on a mission right now. It's a long season. They could go through a rough patch, but they're going to ride it. They pulled this victory out against the Cardinals. You guys are right. Good teams find a way to win ugly games. I think this is a rivalry game, and the Eagles have something to say. So I'm going with the Eagles. I think they're going to wipe them out. I think it's going to be 35-17.
Looks like I'm making up some ground.
Jalen
this week,
Hurts.
boys.
Jalen Hurts.
Let's go.
Okay, next game. Another great game. Bills
Yeah, this
at
one's a
the
good
Chiefs. Preview of the AFC Championship again.
No.
Go ahead, Steve. Do it.
Who you
I
got?
don't know, man. This is a really tough one for me.
It is
I think we all took Buffalo to go, but
No, he didn't. You and I took Buffalo to go in the Super Bowl and win it. He took, I think,
I'm
The Colts.
he took the Colts. He's so good at this. He took the Colts.
he took
yeah.
the Colts.
yeah.
Well, the Colts are still in
Yeah,
it. They're not
yeah.
out of it.
But let's stick to this game. Bills
Yes.
at the Chiefs. Go
Oh
ahead,
man,
Steve.
this is a really tough one. I mean, I like Kansas City. They're playing in Kansas City, right?
Yes.
I like Kansas City at home. I know Buffalo's got revenge on their mind. I think it's going to blind them too much. Coming out of this preseason game against the Steelers, I just don't see that as a very good warm up for them. Gosh, I think the way to beat the Bills is to run the ball, and Kansas City can't run the ball. God, there's just so many things. I'm just gonna go off my head here. I'm going with Kansas City, taking the home team in a pick'em game.
I'm going to go Bills. I think they're going to win 35-20 because I think they are that good. But I also want to say this, is that by winning this game, it's going to help them lose in the end. Kansas City's going to beat them in the playoffs.
All right. So
see, I think the opposite.
And I'm going with the Chiefs only because if I go with the Bills and I picked every game that Mark picked, and I can't pick up any ground on him at all. So
you don't want me to pick out ground on you.
Yeah,
either.
I don't really care about you. So
you just hurt my feelings.
And that's impossible, and you know that. No, I think the Chiefs are going to win this game because I think the Bills are definitely, we've said enough about the Bills right now. But the Chiefs at home and Andy Reid and the way he can game plan, they're up against a totally different sort of animal coming off the Steelers who didn't game plan for anything.
Right.
And Andy Reid is the consummate head coach. Okay. This guy is evaluating every single scheme, lineup, player positioning, defensive, and he is going to set his players up to win this game. That's what I think. Chiefs over the Bills. So, all right, there you go. We'll catch up with that next week on Monday. So that's it for our sports talk. We know we got hockey coming up soon. As soon as that happens, Hockey Jesus is going to be on it. He's probably going to be doing some live podcasting on a nightly basis after the hockey games because he did assure me last week. I asked him,
It's true.
how many hockey games do you usually watch?
Let me answer that. All of them.
And we will be coming back to you with our Bluger update.
Yes.
Bluger's injured, by the way, but he's going to
There
be
is the
in
Bluger
for the
update.
home opener. Oh, spoiler alert, I'm going to be at the home opener for the Pens game, too.
Oh.
And also, hey, check out the Sports Porch is live on probably, let's say, Wednesday. I'm putting out my Penguins preview. You're going to want to read it. It has all the information you need in there to know about what to look for in the Pens.
ThePorchIsLive.com.
Whoa.
ThePorchIsLive.com. You got to say it 3 times. One more.
ThePorchIsLive.com.
That's our website.
Check it out.
Please visit. Okay.
Yep, the Canes will be in there, Gary. So there you go.
Okay. You got it. All right. Moving on. Headlines that mean something. We scour the internet to find headlines that we find very appropriate to today's world and that actually mean something. I'm going to start with Mark. Actually, we got one more quick comment. Jeff, my buddy from York, says, "Have a good evening, all. My pick Steelers over Tampa Bay." That's because Jeff's a homer. Keep in mind, I knew this guy in high school. He was a Montreal Expos fan, so that tells you all you need to know there. And I can't wait to see you for the New Orleans game, Jeff.
I'm a fan of the Expos uniforms.
Yeah.
Those
You're in
hats
trouble
were
now,
awesome.
Paulus. You're in trouble. All right, so Mark,
Wait, get out! I just gotta do this real quick. Allison, come back next week. We'll talk some Pens.
All right,
Absolutely.
Allison.
Okay. Headlines that mean something. Mark's headline this week. We're going to put that up right now.
Bacon theft lands woman with 34 arrests behind bars. So she's done this
Back behind bars.
Back behind bars. So she's done this a couple times. 30 arrests, 10 previous convictions. One arrest was for stealing 4 packets of Kool-Aid.
You can get arrested for 4 packets of
Hey,
Kool-Aid.
she's hungry.
Wow.
Just so you know,
This is a hard place she lives. Where does
just so
she
you know,
live?
this is over $100 of bacon was stolen. And the only
She
reason
really
why
loves her bacon.
the only reason why this one stood out to me was all I can tell you is, you know what? I get it. I love bacon.
Yeah.
I get it. I got no problem with this.
What
If
if?
you're gonna steal something,
If you're gonna steal something, steal bacon.
$100 worth of bacon.
Yeah.
I got no problem
Okay.
with it. I understand.
But they got to put her in jail for it.
Sure.
All right.
Now
Mark,
she gets her bacon for free.
bacon theft lands women with 34 arrests back behind bars. Back
That's a good find.
Yeah.
back
Oh yeah.
back to bacon.
Back.
Allison says, what's the website again, guys? I'm going to break protocol here. I'm going to put that up for you right there. It's theporchislive.com, theporchislive.com. Thank you,
Go
Allison.
subscribe, Allison.
Okay.
You'll get it right to your
Yeah.
email.
Yeah, you can subscribe to our email list. We're compiling that list and getting things ready there. So, next headline, Steve's headline.
Mark, I thought you'd like this one. Lamar Odom says Kobe Bryant came to him in a dream.
That's awesome.
Didn't you hear about this?
I did not hear about this.
Well, Shannon Sharp has a podcast.
Okay.
You know, he invites
Yeah.
guys over. And Lamar Odom was like breaking down. He was like really taken aback by this. He said he was on like Big Brother House or something like that. You know, I guess he was one of they had a celebrity one where he was in. He was like, man, I was in there. Kobe came to me in a dream one night. And he said, wait, I want to make sure I get this right. He said, the last dream was real vivid. He's going to say something I'm never, ever going to forget. He said, hello, the afterlife ain't what people make it up to be. And then he disappeared. And Lamar was like really shaken up by it. And he was like, I don't know what it meant. He said something along the lines like, did he miss his girls? Is his mission not done? He was like, you just don't know what to expect, and that just stuck with me. All I can
say is you would have to think that if Kobe could speak to the living from the other side, he probably wouldn't go to Lamar Odom first.
Well, maybe there's people he's talked to and they just haven't admitted to it yet.
You know, they were shooting.
Maybe there's an apology he would make. You know, possibly.
He said they were just shooting hoops, and he just showed up, and you know.
Of course.
And that was it.
Of course, he was just shooting hoops.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. My headline is one that I just found great. Did you know that China may be using the sea to hide its submarines?
Well, you would think
What?
that would be the place.
Did you know that?
That is tricky.
Well, some hide them in the ocean,
Yeah,
so they're going seas.
yeah. So did you know China hides subs underwater? I mean, this is
never
what our
really thought
military
about
intelligence
this.
is coming up with nowadays.
I never
Hey,
really thought
wait a
about
minute.
that.
I think it's possible that I haven't seen any Chinese submarines in a while.
Yeah.
Maybe
they're hiding them
underwater.
under the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't help
I think it's
myself.
a safe bet that's where they are.
Yeah, I would say so. All right. Headlines.
You know
that mean
what? They're
something.
down
That
there
was
with
it.
all
Yeah.
those alien
Yeah.
ships.
Oh yeah.
All right. So and I had an alien ships thing on our previous show, Off the Grid Uncommon Ground. Catch that podcast as well. So what we're watching, what we're streaming on the internet, what we love, what we don't love. We'll start with Mark. Mark's show this week is
The Rookie.
now. Is this a comedy?
That's on ABC.
No, yeah.
It's on Hulu.
So I figured
Wait a second. That's not a
I
streaming
figured-
show.
no, you could stream it on Hulu.
you can stream it on Hulu.
That's a streaming show.
It says right there. stream
I
on
figured-
It's all streaming
Hulu.
nowadays. Come on.
I
Technology.
figured I would just keep it simple. There's a few regular TV shows that I still do enjoy, and The Rookie is one of them. Did you guys ever watch Castle by any chance?
No, but my mother was a huge fan.
Okay, so this guy Nathan Fillion, he was the star of Castle, and here's the thing: it's a great cast. It's it's an hour of you don't have to think, and it's exciting and it's fun. Now it's in its fourth season now. Seasons 1 and 2 were unbelievably great. I mean, now you're into season 3 and 4, and it's starting to get like things are getting a little ridiculous.
Okay.
But it's good. I mean, if you like a cop show, it's interesting. It's fun.
All right.
Just a little mindless fun for you.
Mark
Rookie.
is watching The Rookie on Hulu or ABC. Steve, there we go. Steve's show.
I am watching a thing called Unwell.
That doesn't sound good.
It does not sound good, but it actually is about getting well.
Is it?
Yes. It's basically like strange things like essential oils, fasting, you know.
Yeah.
They have they have this thing called bulking up with breast milk, which I haven't actually.
Did I really just hear that right?
Yes. I haven't seen that episode yet.
Yeah.
So don't
Are you
ask
looking
me about
forward
it.
to it?
I'm actually thinking of skipping that one.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? Why would you skip them? Never mind.
Because I want to get to the bee sting therapy.
Oh.
You know, because wouldn't you want to get stung by a bee?
That
for
can
therapy?
kill people.
As
Yeah.
opposed
Kill
to
people.
breast milk?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So there are all these weird things that actually people are doing, and it's like a multi-billion-dollar industry, like all of these things.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
That are like
Yeah.
people are trying to become well again.
Right.
But they're saying like it could make you unwell also. So depending on how you actually go about things,
I
like
agree.
you can take it to a different level.
Yeah.
Like with essential oils, like it's good. Like, you know, aromatherapy,
Right.
that's good. But people are like eating it and like putting
Right.
it in their drinks and stuff.
Right.
And it's like, that might be something you want to think twice about.
Right.
Yeah.
So I like it, the fact they actually show like people taking it to the extremes and
Right.
kind of like
Yeah.
ridiculing
Mhm.
them, and people kind of in the middle, like actually using it for good things.
Yeah. It's kind of like smoking Doritos to see if you get high in college.
Right.
I'd
It
only
works.
ever-
It's effective, but do you want to do it every
Yeah.
night?
Yeah. All right. And this is a shout out to Schwaber because I am going to prove again that I am still not an unselfish watcher anymore. I am now watching Bad Sisters
Oh, how do you like it?
on Apple TV Plus. I got to tell you, I like it, but I have to catch up to the Irish accent.
Yeah, you do.
You know what I mean?
You know what you got to do? You just look. You got to just
read it.
You got to suck it up and
Yeah.
go with the subtitles.
Go with the cat.
Actually-
Is that a good one for that?
Yeah,
All right. I will.
because you know what? All I can tell you is this.
It helps.
I pushed back on that for the longest time, but Amy, struggles sometimes to hear, and she wants them on there all the time. First of all, it's great because she never has to say, "I can't hear what they're saying." Turn it up.
We love you, Amy.
And secondly, after doing it for maybe like 2 months, it's like I don't even notice it anymore.
Right. Yeah.
You know
Oh,
what
and
I
I've
mean?
done subtitles
Yeah,
before, but
yeah,
I might do that. But I find
Yeah.
it to be fascinating. And the guy that the husband,
Yeah, he's
total dick.
the worst.
Oh
ever.
my God. Yeah. And it's actually
He is.
funny, the stuff he
Right,
does.
right.
Where she's like,
Yeah.
I have an announcement. He's like, you're pregnant. It's like
Right,
hilarious.
right.
It's
He is
hilarious.
like the worst human being on
Yeah.
earth.
Yep. So Bad Sisters on Apple TV Plus. Give it a shout. See, let us know what you think. And with that, guys, I'm going to put the website back up here. theporchislive.com, theporchislive.com. Want to thank you for listening. If you're listening to us on American Busker, iHeartRadio, 150 million registered users, 2,000 devices, 250 platforms. And you can catch the podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you want to listen to your podcast. I'll be dropping it later tonight. Subscribe to us. Check out theporchislive.com. Next Sunday, we will be at Acrisure Stadium, Steve and I, for a preview special sports porch from a luxury box, watching Tom Brady hopefully lose to the Steelers, but probably not.
They're going back to the act.
And we're going back to the act, and we'll, of course, be on at our regular time on Monday. I always miss these last goodbye comments. Allison says,
Not today.
awesome broadcast, guys. Jeff Paulus says, have a good one all. DG says, thanks, catch you next week. Krista Flitch gives us a whole bunch of thumbs up and then a bunch of rabbits or squirrels or something or whatever that is.
Squirrels.
What is
But
wrong
thanks
with
so
that
much. Thanks so much for being here, guys. And with that, I think that's the show. And we are out. Stay real.